Today we're talking about, should I get a Wonder or should I get a Unity? Well, everybody shopping leisure travel vans right now is really asking that question because what are those differences? Well, today we are going to be talking about the big differences and the little differences that may sway you one to another. And as you know, there is a shortage of leisure travel vans right now. And so you can't just walk into a dealer and compare side to side. So we're going to take the information that we get off of the Leisure Travel Vans website, my own personal experience. I'm fortunate that I own a Unity, and I'm also fortunate in the sense that I have walked into a couple of Wonder floor plans. So we're going to be talking about that today. So if this is your first time to the channel, you like leisure travel vans, you like RVing, you like gear and gadget, well, this is going to be a channel you want to subscribe to. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and also comment down below what your thoughts are between the Wonder and the Unity. Maybe you're a Wonder owner and you can help out the community, or you're a Unity owner and you want to put in your 2 cents. Well, we would love to have that conversation in the comments, so make sure you do that. But let's get into it right now. So if you were to have asked this question 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, there was major differences between the Wonder and the Unity. Well, Ford changed all that whenever they upgraded their chassis. Mercedes-Benz upgraded their chassis in the 2019 models, which I'm fortunate I have one of those upgraded models, and so I have a lot of features that prior Unity owners don't have just because of Mercedes-Benz adding especially some safety stuff. Well, Ford has done that as well. Ford completely redesigned their Transit chassis, which the Wonder sits on, and so the line is really getting blurred between Unity and Wonder as far as the driving experience and the operating experience goes. And so Ford has some things that the Unity just doesn't have. And so we're going to be talking about those things. There's some glaring things that Mercedes-Benz is lacking in such a higher priced coach, which should be a standard feature. And I cannot believe that they don't have these things. Well, Ford also introduced a $6,500 option on the leisure travel van, which is intelligent all-wheel drive. So I think that's a game changer for a lot of people and really making some people really lean towards a Wonder that was maybe thinking about a Unity. So I want to start really just diving into the differences between these two chassis, between the two trim levels, because Unity is a step above the Wonder as far as a trim level goes, and you're going to see when I show you some pricing that is definitely the case. A fully decked out Unity is about $20,000 more than a fully decked out Wonder, and the Wonder is also lacking a lot of the things that the Unity has. So there are some major differences in what Ford gives you and what Mercedes-Benz gives you. And so a few of those things might be important to you and they may not be important to you. So for example, Mercedes-Benz gives you LED headlights, whereas the Ford is HID headlights. Well, is that too terribly big of a deal? I don't think it's terribly large of a deal. But anyway, my Unity does have LED headlights. They look pretty good and they look great at night. I've never seen the HID in the Ford, so I don't know. If you have that, put in the comments how bright it is, if it's adequate, or if you wish you did have the LED headlights. Another thing that the Mercedes-Benz gives you that the Ford does not have is in the seats. So in the seats, it is a little more of a luxury experience in the Mercedes. It does have heated seats, and it also has power memory seats. Well, in our cars or SUVs, we're kind of basically really spoiled to having heated seats and power seats, memory seats, all, basically in a standard vehicle. Well, in the Ford, you're not going to get those things. How big of a deal is that? Probably not that big of a deal. For my wife, heated seats is a must. If it's 100 degrees outside, she's turning on those heated seats. Okay, a couple of safety things that the Mercedes-Benz has that the Ford does not, which is electronic stability control. Well, I don't know that that's that giant of a deal. I mean, it is in rain, not necessarily in snow, because you're probably not going to be driving your leisure travel van in snow because they do not have a Four Seasons leisure travel van yet. And so, but I mean, it's nice to know it has. Ford is definitely missing that. So if that's important to you, I think that's going to be a big deal. The Unity also has automatic rain sensing wipers. Again, that's one of those things that we're kind of used to in our automobiles and in our big SUVs, is if it starts raining, the windshield wipers just come on at the speed they need to come on. The Ford is not going to have that. You're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, reach down and turn the dial on to your desired setting. So is that, I mean, I kind of get lazy and I kind of like that idea, but at the same time, I mean, it's not a huge deal. All right, one of the big things that the Unity has that the Ford does not, that I personally don't think that I can live without, just because I am so incredibly used to it, and that is adaptive cruise control. I absolutely love adaptive cruise control because you literally set it and forget it. When you're on the highway, you just set your speed, and if the car in front of you slows down, your Unity is slowing down. In the Ford, they do not have this. Again, this is one of those things that we are used to in our cars. A lot more cars are having these having adaptive cruise. It used to be, a big deal whenever they first introduced this, but now lots and lots of automakers are doing this, and people are just frankly getting used to them. So I think you see kind of the trend here, which is if you want more of an everyday driving experience, the Unity is really giving you those things that your car has. Okay, one thing that the Unity has that the Ford does not, which I think is kind of odd because we do store these things, and that is a chassis disconnect for your battery. If you're storing your leisure travel van for any extended period of time, you're going to want to turn those batteries off so they're not being drained from parasite draws. So the Unity gives you that ability, and the Ford does not. Is that a big deal? Not really. I guess you could, if you wanted to, just go in and take your battery cables off, but there is a switch in the Unity that will turn those chassis batteries off. Now, here is the game changer for the Wonder. The one thing that Mercedes has left off of their Sprinter chassis, I mean, I don't know if it's an option in other builds, but in the leisure travel van, you cannot get a Unity with a tire pressure monitoring system, a TPMS. It is an incredibly glaring problem that it does not have this, right? When you have something that heavy, you want to know what your tires pressure is all of the time. And so the fact that they don't have it is so odd. The Wonder has it. Ford has included that in that Transit chassis. So what do we do since we don't have it? I have my Viair pump, which is absolutely the best thing on the planet. It's quiet, it's small, and it airs up those tires super fast. But so I literally, before any trip, I get my little Viair out, and I go around to all 6 tires, and I make sure they're good. So the Viair does work. It's the old-fashioned way. I mean, I would still have to have the Viair if I had a TPMS, because if the tire's a little low, I would just go and air them up. But what is my TPMS in the Unity? Well, it's me and my Viair. And so it's one thing that I really wish. Now, there are things that you can do. You can add a aftermarket TPMS to the Unity. It's a little more than just screwing those those readers on and putting in the display in your cab. You are going to probably want to upgrade to a Borg valve system. And so if you're interested in that, you can go on and Google and see what all's involved in that. But, boy, I sure wish the Unity had a TPMS. All right, so let's talk about the wheels. So the Ford comes standard with aluminum wheels. Now, they're not the top-of-the-line Alcoa Durabright wheels that you can get on the Unity. The Unity comes standard with a steel wheel with a wheel covering. If you really look at the Facebook forums, you will see those wheel coverings come off and they lose them a little bit sometimes. You're going to save weight with the Alcoas. They really look fantastic. I'll be honest with you, I have them. I do recommend you get them. I think it's better for resale. I think they're obviously lighter. less corrosive. So I'm a big fan of the Alcoa Durabrights, but if you get a Wonder, you get aluminum wheel standard. Okay, so let's talk dimensions. And so there are going to be several differing opinions here. Some are in favor of the Unity, some are in favor of the Wonder. So you're just going to have to decide what's best for you. They're basically the same dimension. There are a few differences. The Unity is a little bit longer. It's 25 feet 1 inch, whereas the Wonder is 24 feet 9 inches. So, I mean, not much. I mean, I don't think you could tell by the naked eye. The Unity is also taller by a few inches. It's over 10 feet, whereas the Wonder is under 10 feet. Now they're the same exact width. They are 7 feet 11 inches wide, so that's not going to change. So overall, the outside dimensions are basically the same. Where you're really going to see the difference in size is up in the cab. The Mercedes sits much higher, and the Ford has a little bit more of a car-like small SUV feel when you get into it, whereas the Mercedes, you can literally, whenever you pull up to a semi, you're kind of almost eye to eye, not quite, but you do feel like you are driving a big RV, whereas the Ford is a little bit more of an automobile type feel. And so that is the only glaring difference as far as size goes between these two vehicles. Now then, the one thing that is interesting is the Wonder actually has a longer wheelbase than the Unity by about 8 inches. So the wheelbase is just a little bit longer, which not sure. I guess that's just an engineering thing. But as far as I can tell, I don't think it makes any big difference. So if you're looking at the exterior size of it, I don't think that's going to help you make a decision at all because they're basically the same. All right, now what we're going to talk about next is actually something you may want to consider when you're making your decision, because the tank sizes, your fresh tank, your black tank, and your gray tank sizes, I mean, that really does matter if you do a lot of boondocking. If you're hooking up at RV parks, this probably is not going to matter to you at all, and so you probably skip to the next part. But if you do a lot of boondocking, this part is going to be a big deal, because the Wonder actually, I think, comes out on top in this, because they actually have, all Wonders have a 33.5 gallon tank, and then the Unity, it varies by floor plan. With a twin bed, corner bed, and the island bed, they have the most at 36.5, so a little bit more than that Wonder. But if you get a Murphy bed, which is, I believe, their most popular model, an FX, which is what I have, or the RL, which is quickly becoming their most popular model, their freshwater tank is only 25 gallons. So is that a big deal? It kind of is for me. We do a lot of boondocking. We get by, but hey, if you anytime you can get some extra water, that's always a good thing. All right, so with everything, there's trade-offs. So with the Unities, all Unities across the board, they have a 35-gallon gray tank and a 30-gallon black tank. But now it's going to differ with the floor plan of the Wonder you get. So it varies between 26 gallons and 35, black and gray. So again, if you do a lot of boondocking, this is probably going to be a statistic you want to look at. Who wins? I'm not really sure there. Freshwater, I think the Wonder does a good job making sure all of them have that 33 gallons, whereas you can get as low as 25 gallons in their most popular models. But then the black tank and the gray tank in the Unities is a little bit larger in all of their floor plans. So you got to look at it. Is that important to you? All right, let's talk about fuel capacity. So how far can you go in this thing? Well, I can tell you, but we're getting reports about that new Ford Transit. You know, Mike and Jennifer Wendland of RV Lifestyle, they have the new gas chassis Transit. And I think they said last time I saw one of their videos, they were talking about gas, they were getting between 12 and 13 miles to gallon. Well, I can tell you this. I just made a trip to East Texas for a small getaway to a harvest host. And as always, I got 17 miles to the gallon on the highway. I mean, in what world does an RV get 17 miles to the gallon? That's better than my F-150. I think I get 16 in that thing. And so you really can't beat. So when we talk about fuel capacity, that's really going to make a difference. If you get a lower gas mileage, you're going to have to be filling up more. If you get a higher gas mileage, And they're both basically the same. The Wonder has 25-gallon tank, and the Unity has a 24.5-gallon tank. So you're missing half of a gallon in the Unity, so the Wonder wins a little bit there. But from what I'm seeing, that has a much lower gas mileage rating. So therefore, who wins? I would say the Unity wins. My 17 miles a gallon, I love it. Okay, propane. Now, propane's going to be a big deal if you have a propane generator or if you do some cold weather camping and you got to run your furnace. And of course, then we need propane for our hot water and our stove, which those don't really take up that much. And of course, the refrigerator will use a little bit of propane as well. I can tell you that running your refrigerator on propane, I mean, I could run it for a long, long time. I had my refrigerator on for a week now outside and just on propane. I mean, it was very negligible, okay? But what eats up the propane is your generator, and of course, your furnace is going to burn more propane than that refrigerator or your cook stove. So, propane, if it's a big deal to you, I'll tell you that the Unity has a 15.8-gallon propane, whereas the Wonder has 13.2. So it's 3 gallons. Is that a big deal? It could, because you just can't go to every street corner and fill up with propane. These things have permanent propane tanks. It's not the trade out that you can just walk into a Walmart and trade it out for 17 bucks. No, you have to have a professional fill your propane tank. So, can you find that on a Sunday? Who knows? Maybe not. So, that's a big deal. That 3 extra gallons, that could be a Sunday. You could wait till Monday and get it done. Okay, exterior storage. I think a lot of people may get a little surprised the first time they see a leisure travel van because there is very little storage in one of these things. I personally like it. I don't like taking a lot of stuff. If I had one of those big Class A's with the giant basements, I'm telling you, Janet would find a way to fill that thing up. I love taking the least amount of stuff as possible. So I actually love the fact that we have limited storage. Now, if storage is important to you, well, then the Wonder probably is going to be more your style. They've got that twin bed model with a bike garage. That's incredible. You got to make sure you look at that if storage is a big deal for you. Now, the downside with that, you can't tow hardly anything with that Wonder. The new Transit chassis, you are able to tow up to 4,000 pounds, whereas it was 2,000 with the chassis generation right before that the Wonders were on. They upped that to 4,000. But again, if you get that giant storage in the back, that bike garage, I think they call it, that goes away. And so you have to keep that into consideration as well. Now then, the Unity and basically the Wonder, it's all floor plan dependent upon how much storage space you have. So with mine, the FX, I have the second least amount of storage, right? Those twin bed models, they have the most because those beds are lifted up in the back and then they have everything that they can put them under. So, really check out the different floor plans and see which one is going to have the most storage if that is important to you. You are not going to be carrying a kayak like you could in a big fifth wheel basement or a Class A basement. You got to keep that in mind. Neither the Unity or the Wonder is great for exterior storage and taking a lot of stuff with you. Always keep that in mind. But if you want more storage, the Wonder has the absolute most with that twin bed model. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about the outside and some of the amenities. So inside of my FX, I'm 6'2", the interior is 6'5". I never bump my head. So, could I bump my head in a Wonder? I could, yeah. How? Because they're both 6'5" interiors. However, the Wonder does not have ducted air. And what that means is there is an air conditioner coming out of the ceiling towards the back of the Wonder. And so, can you hit your head if you're a little bit taller? Yes, you can. If you're a little bit shorter, it's not going to be a big deal. But that is a big difference between Unity and Wonder is that ducted air in the Unity. Super nice, a lot quieter, and of course you're not seeing the actual air conditioning controls and unit down. We have a thermostat. I think the Wonder also has a thermostat which controls it. But anyway, the Unity, it's all ducted air, and I like that. Now then, the awning. If you watch the Fit RV, James talks about, in fact, he made a whole video that he said he wishes RVs never had awnings. I can somewhat see what he's saying, because if it breaks, you're pretty much, in trouble there if you're out in the middle of nowhere and can't fix it. And so we actually carry zip ties with us in case it happens. That's a little pro tip for you, that you can zip tie that thing together and hold it in while you drive down the road. But in the Unity and the Wonder, they are a little bit different. They're both motorized. However, the Unity actually has a gust control. So if a big gust of wind comes, it has a sensor and it will retract that awning, and the Wonder does not have it. They both have the LED light strip. So they're basically the same features. The Unity is just going to be upgraded a little bit with that gust retraction. So is that a good thing? Yeah, you're hopefully, if it works, then your awning isn't going to fly off your rig. Okay, so let's talk about the inside a little bit more. So I think you will find that they really use the same materials inside. The Unity is a trim level above. However, the Wonder, basically they have the same floor material, they have the same cabinetry material. Where the Unity is really upgraded is basically all of their upper cabinets are enclosed. In the Wonder, you will see a lot of shelves, open shelving instead of open cabinets. And I'm sure that saves a little cost, saves a little weight. But the Unity definitely is upgraded a little bit in that sense. And so, like I said, I've been inside a Wonder, and I've obviously been inside Unities before. You tell a little bit of a difference. I mean, I kind of like the idea of the open shelving in the Wonder. It's really, I don't think that's going to lean you one way or the other whether you can close a cabinet. But yeah, there's a lot more cabinets with doors in the Unity than there is the Wonder. All right, let's talk about what you can get in a Unity, but you cannot get in a Wonder. And now these can be some deal breakers. This may want to make you pay a little extra for that Unity. And the first thing is self-leveling jacks. I can tell you they are awesome. Do they break? Well, yeah, everything on the RV is eventually going to break, I think. So we already had, one of our leveling arms. We had an issue, leaked hydraulic fluid, but it was easily taken care of under warranty. No big deal, but man, they do work. When those things are down and it auto levels, nothing like it. And that thing is rock solid. There's a good foundation. No rocking, especially if that's something that bothers you when you walk through your RV, if it shakes or wobbles. I think with the Wonder you can get stabilizers. But boy, that self-leveling, that is the bomb.com. Okay, a few of the other things that you cannot get in a Wonder, but you can a Unity. I don't know if it's that big of a deal to you. So with the transition to the gas chassis, obviously there's going to be a gas generator inside of that Wonder. I don't even think they offer the propane generator anymore. Well, with the Unity, you get your choice between a propane generator and a diesel generator. Well, that's for a whole nother video, because that argument, the propane generator people love their propane generators. The diesel generator people love their diesel generators. I have a diesel generator. It's about double the cost of a propane generator, but I live in Texas. Heat. So I got to make sure I've always got fuel for that generator. So with the gas generator in the Wonder, obviously the gas engines don't last as long as diesel engines. So if you run that thing a lot, you'll probably have some more repairs on it. With a diesel generator, you're not going to have as many repairs. Cross your fingers. And then the propane, I don't know how those repairs are. But anyway, just know if you go with the Wonder, you have a gas generator. With the Unity, you get your choice between propane with auto gen start or a diesel without auto gen start. So get this, you pay double for the diesel generator, but you don't get auto gen start. It's like no TPMS in the Mercedes chassis. Doesn't make sense. Okay, a few things that you can get in the Unity, but you cannot get in the Wonder, which is a safe, which is kind of a big deal. I like having the safe because RV is a vehicle. Vehicles get broken into. We keep cash in there because you never know when you're going to need cash. And I don't ever carry cash anymore, so I've always got some in the RV. And then any valuables you want to leave in there. And then the other thing is that removable table. I talked about that in another video. Kind of wish I would not have gotten that option. We don't use it, and it puts a hump in the floor where it connects to the floor. because you take that table and that leg out and you store it. So if that's a big deal to you, you can't get it in the Wonder. Okay, let's talk about interior colors. When I ordered my FX, I have a 2020, and they offered 3 options: the espresso, which we got, the maple, and then the cherry. I thought the cherry and the maple at the ones that I saw, I thought it was a little, I didn't think that it had the look that I wanted to go. So I wanted to go with the espresso. Now, if you go with the espresso, you got to get all of the upgrades, the white cabinets, and then you also have to get the fog interior to break up that darkness, because that espresso is really dark. And so we got that, and I think it's a beautiful contrast, and so I think it's actually great. The good news is, starting in 2022, that Leisure Travel Vans is going to bring in cashmere and natural rift into all of their Unity models. Now, the Wonder have had these for quite some time. If you walk into a Wonder, I think those wood colors are absolutely spectacular. They're modern looking. It's what the Leisure Travel Van really needed. So I read today that you can no longer order a 2021 model. Those are all gone. You have to get a 2022 model. But the good news is, with those, you get your choice of those 4 finishes inside. You have the espresso, which is what I have. You can get the maple still, or you can get that natural rift, or you can get the cashmere. And so I think this is a huge thing, and I wish I would probably get that natural rift. I really love that. So anyway, so that's good news. So now there's really no difference as far as interior colors, except for in the Wonder you cannot get the maple or the espresso. But I don't think you'd care. I think you'd choose one of those other 2 anyway. Okay, now when it comes to entertainment up in the cab, the Ford really upped their game. They did bring in the Sync 3 system with a much larger screen. And so really there's no difference, except for the Mercedes has a 10-inch screen. It's really stunning. It's a really beautiful looking piece of machinery when it's turned on. The navigation looks great. I actually use Apple CarPlay. I don't use the built-in navigation. I use Apple CarPlay generally for just about everything. But the Ford Wonder and the Mercedes, you can do Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, or they all have Sirius XM, FM HD radio. I don't think either one of them have CDs, so those days are gone. But anyway, Bluetooth streaming, so they're really on a level playing field. The Mercedes screen is just a little bit larger. I think it's 10 inches, whereas the Ford is either 7 or 8 inches. So, but either way, you're going to get basically the same experience. All right, as far as the Mercedes and the Ford cab goes, I'm going to tell you there are some major differences here. You are paying more for the Unity, and I think you're going to feel that up in that cab. Whenever Mercedes changed and upgraded their chassis for the 2019, when you sit in there and you're looking at this dash and the entertainment system and everything, I mean, you could swear you're in a 500 series sedan Mercedes. I mean, it is top notch. Now, there are some cheap plastics that they use on the dash and everything. It's not quite a S-Class Mercedes, but it is very close. With the Ford, you're kind of looking at a mid-tiered SUV Ford look and feel. It's definitely not upgraded to like the Navigator or the high-end Expedition or F-250 Platinum. It's really mid-tiered Ford look and feel. So just keep that in mind. It's also much smaller in there. And I'll talk about the Wendlands again. So they have their big dog Bo. When they had the Unity, Bo could fit in between those 2 seats. With the Ford, he cannot. So the seats are much closer in. Like I said, that cab is smaller. So, and it's shorter to the ground. And narrower. So keep that in mind. It's a little more of a car, small SUV feel when driving. When I drive my Unity, I feel like I'm driving something. I feel like I'm eye to eye with some of the truckers, and I feel like, I'm the king of the road. So you got to keep that in mind as well. But overall, I don't think you can go wrong with either one. Okay, now here's where we talk about what everybody seems to be worried about, and that is maintenance. Maintenance on a Mercedes is going to be more expensive. No bones about it. Everything about the Mercedes is going to be more expensive. It's more expensive to buy a Unity than it is a Wonder. It's more expensive to maintain that Mercedes than it is a Ford. But what I personally believe, I'm not buying that thing as a vehicle. I'm buying it as a motorhome. So I made the choice that was right for us. And the Mercedes-Benz and the Unity was the right motorhome for us. I wasn't thinking, well, I can save, $100 on an oil change whenever I bought, my leisure travel van. So I would go into it not thinking in those terms, thinking, well, it's more expensive to maintain the Mercedes. Again, I just don't think of it in those terms. Think of it as a motorhome, not as a vehicle, because, you may make a choice for that when the Unity was really the motor coach that you wish you had. So again, it's more expensive, a little bit more difficult. If you're a DIY guy, you can do it yourself. I mean, lots of people change the oil in the Mercedes, and I think there's a big misnomer that you have to take it to a Mercedes-Benz dealer and get that $500 oil change. But no, that's not true at all. You can do it yourself. Other places will change the oil in it, and it'll be just fine. You just got to make sure you're using the correct oil, that Mercedes-Benz, and the filters that they say you need to use to make sure your warranty is good. Okay, now what everybody's been waiting for is pricing. You probably already know this, but the Unity is more expensive than the Wonder. You get some great features with the Unity for that price. You also miss some things like tire pressure monitoring system, for example. And so this is probably going to be a lot of people's, idea of, well, am I going to get the Ford or am I going to get the Mercedes-Benz? Am I going to get the Unity? Am I going to get the Wonder? Do the enclosed cabinetry? Does the auto levelers? All of those things, does that make sense for me? So when we look at the pricing of the bottom tier Wonder without any options, is going to be about $120,000. With the Unity, it's about $140,000. So right off the top, it's $20,000 more to purchase a Unity than it is a Wonder. So I went in and I built a Wonder and I built a Unity, the most expensive floor plan, because those models range between, I think, about $8,000 depending on which model you get. An RL is more expensive than the twin bed in the Wonder, and the Murphy bed is the most expensive model in the Unity. So I took the most expensive model because I wanted to see what the most you could spend on a leisure travel van was. So I went on there, I got the most expensive floor plans, and I went and I added everything. 400 watts of solar, generators, lithium, auto levelers on the Unity. I did the works, and here's what I came out with. So fully loaded Wonder RL will set you back $154,306 MSRP, which is probably about what you're going to pay these days because they are in such high demand. So when it comes to a Unity, the top price is $176,741. So about $22,000 difference of the most expensive Wonder and the most expensive Unity. So at the end of the day, if that's important to you, well, there's your answer. Now then, I hope all of these comparisons, I hope it helps you make a decision. Again, it's going to be one of those things where you just got to, the Wonder gives you one thing and takes away another, and the Unity gives you one thing and takes away another as well. So I hope this helps you make your decision. I think they are both in high demand. I think it's going to be a year, maybe 2 years before you can get one. And so if you're looking on the used market, most of these make sense except for that new Ford Transit chassis. I think the 2020 models was the first year, maybe 2019. Can't remember. I know 2019 was the first year that you could get the Mercedes-Benz new chassis, which I would highly recommend you get that. You got all the safety features, adaptive cruise control, that great-looking interior. And then with the Ford, I think it's 2020 model. So anyway, I don't know if this helped or not, but if it did, like this video, make sure you subscribe and also put in the comments below your thoughts about, hey, are you a Unity owner? What do you like? Are you a Wonder owner? What do you like? So anyway, that's it for this video, and we'll see you next time.